Hey again, it's Mr. Lum, and we're going to be doing some more Math 10, but this is some Math 9 review before we actually jump into the Math 10 stuff. So anyways, we're going to be talking about solving an equation, and I wrote down some kind of stuff here. What you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side of the equation. That's one way of looking at it. Some people teach it like, well, before we do BEDMAS, but in order to undo an equation, well, if BEDMAS is doing it forward, well, to undo an equation, you must do BEDMAS kind of backwards. And that's another way of looking at it. So, but the main goal of whatever you're doing is to isolate the variable. So first off, what is the variable? The variable is the letter. That's the variable. X is the variable. In math, we usually use X as a variable, but don't be surprised if you see a different letter representing a variable. It just means the thing that is kind of unknown in our equation. Okay? So we're going to use this backwards BEDMAS kind of thing in order to figure out what to do first. So here, if we were solving for X, it'd be first you'd have to do the multiply, because that comes first, and then you would have to do the addition, because that would come second. So first you go for X, you would have to multiply it by 3. That would be the first step. And then the second step, so I'm just going to write first, and the second step would be to add it. That would be the second step. Okay? We don't have brackets, exponents, or division, or subtractions. We just have to deal with multiplying and addition. Okay. Now, since we're going backwards, reverse BEDMAS, we're going to do it in reverse. So instead of dealing the 3 times the x first and then adding 2, we're going to deal with this one first. So we have to go backwards. So we have to deal with the plus 2 first. Now this is how do we get rid of that plus 2? Well, I'm just going to erase some of this stuff right here. So we're going to get rid of this plus 2 first, and how we get rid of a plus 2 is we minus 2. Okay? So we're going to minus 2 from that. Now, on this note right here, I said what you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side of the equation. So if I minus 2 to this side of the equation, I must minus 2 to that side of the equation. So I'm going to rewrite everything else out. So 3x plus 2 minus 2, that just turns into 3x, equals 11 minus 2. Well, 11 minus 2 is 9. Okay? So now I have 3 times x equals 9. And I know some people can already solve this out, but in case you can't, or we have different numbers in the future and you can't solve it out, this is 3 times x equals 9. So what I'm going to do is I need to get rid of that 3 times x. So if you subtract 3, that will not remove the 3 multiplied by the x. What you need to do is you need to divide by 3. So 3 over 3, well, those are going to cancel out and just kind of turn into 1. So this will cancel out with that. If I divide by 3 on one side of the equation, I must do it to the other side of the equation. So I must divide by 3 on this side. So these two 3's cancel out. And so that's x equals 9 over 3. Well, 9 divided by 3 is just 3. So our final answer is just, well, what is the variable? It's, well, x equals 3. If we're unsure that our answer is right with x equals 3, what we could do is we could try taking that 3 and plugging it into our equation. So I'm going to go 3, and instead of writing x there, I'm going to write 3 plus 2 equals 11. So 3 times 3, that's 9, plus 2 equals 11. Yeah, that's true. So this means our answer is correct. So we can test our answer by plugging it back into the original equation to make sure that it was right. Okay, here's a few quick ones that you can do. Trying it yourself if you want to put on the video on pause. And if you get stuck, I'll go over the answers right now. Anyways, So I'm going to go kind of quickly here. So for here, I'm going to plus 6 on both sides. And so it's going to be minus 5x equals, these x's, or the 6's cancel out. 9 plus 6 is 15. I'm going to divide by negative 5. If I do it by that side, I have to do it to this side. And this is a kind of a key point right here. I divide by not just 5, but negative 5, because I want to cancel out that negative as well, because a negative and negative make a positive and get rid of it. So these are going to cancel out. And then I get 15 divided by negative 5. So that's just going to be x equals negative 3. If I stuck in negative 3 back into this equation, it'd be negative 5 times negative 3 minus 6 equals 9. Or in other words, negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15 minus 6 equals 9. And that does work out, so this is true. That's our answer. Okay. Next one, a little bit different looking. First off, this is x divided by 3 plus 4. We're going in reverse BEDMAS. So we're going to deal with that plus 4 first. So I'm going to minus 4 from both sides. Okay. So I minus 4 from both sides. I get x over 3. This cancels out. And then I get equals 7 minus 4 is 3. Okay. Now here's a little bit tricky. How do I get rid of this x divided by 3? Well, if I multiply it by 3, I have a 3 on top now and a 3 on the bottom, so those are going to cancel out. And then if I do that to one side, I must do it to the other side. Okay. And so then I have x equals 3 times 3 is 9. Okay. Now our next one, our x is on the other side right here. So it's okay, it doesn't matter if x equals 9 or 9 equals x. We can have the x on this side, so I'm going to minus 8 from both sides. 10 minus 8 is 2. 3x, these cancel out. Okay. Now I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. So divide by 3, divide by 3. This cancels out. And so my answer is going to be 2 over 3 equals x. Okay? We can write x equals 2 over 3, doesn't matter. Okay, here our x is kind of alone right here, but that's okay. I'll show you a little trick right here. So here I have positive 4 minus x equals negative 12. So what I'm going to do is I have positive 4, so I'm going to minus a 4 from this side. If I minus 4 from that side, I must minus 4 from this side. Okay? So negative 12 minus negative 4, or sorry, negative 12 minus 4, that's going to be negative 16. Okay? If you have a hard time with adding and subtracting stuff, what you could do is make yourself a number line. And so here's my number line, 0, negative 12. I have to add these negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, moving away from positive. It's negative 16. So negative 16. Now here's the tricky part right here. Yeah, these things canceled, but it didn't cancel this negative right here. That's negative x. Okay. So how do I get rid of this negative sign? Well, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can do it. You can times both sides by negative 1, or divide by both sides by negative 1. It doesn't really matter. But so we can just times both sides by negative 1. So times by negative 1, times by negative 1. And then that's just going to cancel out the negative sign. And this negative sign will cancel out right here. So then we're left with x equals 16. Okay. We want to double check to make sure our answer is right. 4 minus 16 equals negative 12. That's right. That's true. Okay. So we know we did that one right. Okay. Here we have 3x plus 2 equals x. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay, there's a bunch of different things that you can do to solve this one, but essentially when you have an x on both sides, you need to make sure that you kind of put an end to that and get all your x's to one side. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do it. I see this x right here, and I'm going to minus an x. If I minus an x from this side, I must minus an x from that side. 3x minus 1x, I know I didn't write a 1 in front, but that's what it means. 3x minus 1x is just going to be 2x plus 2 equals x minus x, well, those cancel out, and x minus x is 0. Okay? Yes, you can have something equaling 0, that's fine. Now, I'm going to minus 2 from this side right here to get rid of that 2. If I do that to one side, I must do it to the other side, so I'm going to go minus 2 right there. Okay? So, that's going to be 2x, these things canceled out, equals 0 minus 2 is minus 2. I'm going to, running out of room here, I'm going to divide both sides by 2, divide by 2. These cancel out, okay, and I'm left with x equals negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Okay, and that's my answer, x equals negative 1. Now, since we had x's on both sides, it's a really good idea to check our answer. So what we're going to do is we're going to check our answer and stick negative 1 in there. So 3x, or now 3 times negative 1 plus 2 equals, we have another x right here, so we're going to write negative 1. Okay, 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 plus 2 equals negative 1. And if you did this math, negative 3 plus 2 does equal negative 1. So we know that our answer is right. Okay. Here's another one right here. And I put some brackets in there just to kind of confuse and test you. But I'm going to do this one in 2 different ways. Okay. So the first thing is, if you were given this one, you can do inside the brackets first. So if I'm writing bed mass, you do the inside the brackets first, and then you do your exponents. We don't have any division, and then multiplication. So if we're going backwards, we should deal with this multiplication thing first. So it doesn't really matter with this one right here, but I'll show you 2 different methods and we'll come up with the same answer. But here, if we divide by 5, because this is 5 times everything in the brackets, if we do that to one side, we have to do it to the other side. So this 5 cancels with that, and then we're left with x minus 1 equals 10 over 5 is just 2. Okay? And then I'm going to plus 1 on both sides. And so that's going to make this cancel out. X equals 2 plus 1 is 3. And that's our answer. Okay, double check my answer. If I put a 3 in here, okay, 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 times 5 does equal 10. So the answer is good. But I'm going to show you another quick method how to do this. We have 5 x minus 1 equals 10. My first step before was divide both sides by 5. I'm not going to do that this time. This time I'm going to kind of like FOIL or rainbow multiply, whatever you want to say. And so I'm going to go 5 times x is 5x. Okay, 5 times negative 1 is negative 5 equals 10. Okay, so I have 5x right here minus 5, so I'm going to plus 5 on both sides. So now I'm going to be left with 5x, these cancel out, equals 10 plus 5 is 15. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And I'm left x equals 15 over 5 is 3. And you see we get the exact same answer. So it doesn't matter which method you use. Okay. Obviously, if you looked at this method right here, there's a lot less steps, so it's a lot quicker. Now we have one of these questions right here where it's we have x on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this one right here by, and you can do this by subtracting minus 2x. If I minus 2x on this side, I have to minus 2x on this side right here. So this cancels out. 3x minus 2x is 1x. So we're left with 1x plus 2, not plus 2. 1x equals 2. Or in other words, what we can just say is, we don't normally write 1x, we just kind of write, 3x minus 2x does equal 1x, or we can just say that it's just x equals 2. Because x equals 2 is the same as writing 1x equals 2. Okay, I want to double check my answer, so I have that 2 right there, plug it into my up there. So 3 times 2 equals 2 times 2 plus 2. 3 times 2 is 6 equals 2 times 2 is 4 plus 2. Yep, this is the right answer then, because it worked out. Okay. You should be putting the video on pause, trying doing some of these questions right here, and then if you get stuck, you can watch mine right here, and I'm going to kind of solve it a little bit faster. Okay, so I got my x equals -1 for this one right here. I always think it's a good idea to check your answers. It takes a second to check your answers, but it ensures that you got the right answer. If I put -1 in right here, this would be -3 plus 2. -1 right here, this would be -2 plus 1. This -3 plus 2 would equal -1. This would also equal -1. So we know we got the right answer. Okay, we have x's on both sides again. The reason why I'm minusing x on this side right here is because I could, and it'd be completely right, if I minus 2x from both sides, then I'd be left with -x. I just didn't want to have a -x, and if you watch this, this will cancel out right here. 2x minus x will just be x minus 3. And I don't like to have, I like to try to keep my variables having a positive symbol in front of it. It saves me a step in the future. Anyways, plus 3 on both sides. And so we get 5 equals x. 5 plus 2 is 7. And then 2 times 5 is 10, minus 3 is also 7. So you know we did something right. Minus x, this is going to be x plus 2 equals, cancels out. We didn't cancel out this negative, so it's just -2. Okay. So then we're going to go minus 2 on this side, minus 2 on that side. Okay, so this cancels out. Minus 2, or -2 minus 2 is -4. And that's our answer. I want to double check my answer. So I go -4 into here. 2 times -4 is -8 plus 2. Okay. Equals -4 minus 2. This is going to equal -8 plus 2 is -6. -4 minus 2 is also -6. So we know our answer is right. Okay. If you have questions, let me know and I'll try to help you. But this pretty much concludes our Math 9 review. And if you know how to do this, then you are you should be set up to learn Math 10.